Hello and welcome back to YCS Birmingham 2025. I'm here for a combo deck tutorial with Jordan Gallagher. He's going to teach us about the Malice deck. So let's come on over to the table and Jordan, you can start telling us about it.
Yep, so today we're going to talk about Malice. It's underwent a few changes since Supreme Darkness. One of the more common things that seems to have changed recently, if you look at deck lists from the most recent event in Orlando, is the Dotscaper, which used to be a staple card in the Malice deck, is tend to move away from the main deck now. Main reason for that is it's a little bricky. You don't really want to draw Dotscaper. It's not a good card to draw generally because it's a normal summon. You need your normal summons to start your combo a lot of the time. And then also Malice is tending to run Dominus Impulse a lot more often now. It's a very powerful card against the Mitsurugi strategy, against the Mitsurugi Ritual spell. And then also it's quite good against the Fiendsmith strategy, and Dotscaper's an Earth, so you can't use it if you use Dominus Impulse from the hand that turn. So Malice is kind of, the combos are actually weaker now without Dotscaper, but Malice in general, the new builds tend to run a lot of non-engine. So it plays the combos a lot lower to the ground. The combos don't end on as much with just one card. Obviously, multiple card combinations, you can still end on incredible boards. But from one card, you end on less now than you used to with Dotscaper, but you're playing a lot of non-engine that help back up the plays.
So just for people who are completely new to the deck, do you want to roughly explain how the deck works?
Yeah, sure. So the deck revolves around banishing the Malice monsters, and then all the Malice monsters have an effect where you pay X amount of life points and summon them back. The main deck monsters pay 300 life points, summon themselves back from the banished after they're banished, and the extra deck monsters pay 900, can summon themselves back from the banished and have an additional effect when they do so. The main deck monsters are Dormouse, which once per turn can banish a Malice monster from deck, and then it boosts all your Malice monsters by 600. White Rabbit on summon sets a Malice trap card from your deck, and Chessy Cat can banish a Malice card and draw 2. And then the interesting thing about the Malice trap cards is that they can be activated the turn they're set by banishing a face-up Malice monster. So they're all utilized in the combo, and then also utilized as interruption on your opponent's turn.
So yeah, that sounds like a really unique thing, and as you said, they all get effects when they're banished, so I guess banishing is not as big of a cost as it might otherwise be for other decks, right?
Yeah, banishing is really beneficial for this deck. A lot of people play Dimensional Shifter as a popular tech choice, as well as Bestial Monsters, because Bestial Monsters can act as interruptions for your opponent, but also act as extension for you. When you have Malice Monster in your graveyard, via your opponent's removal, like Detonator, you can banish it from the graveyard for a Bestial Monster, and then it can summon itself back, and you can extend further from there.
So you mentioned you're running it with Bestial. Are there any, and Shifter? Are those your favorite hand traps?
At the moment, Shifter, I'm not trying at the moment because this deck plays a lot more this is a very heavy Bestial build, so that tends to conflict with Shifter. And then also Shifter tends to conflict with cards like Effect Veiler, which I think is really important right now to stop dual drive. But Bestials for sure, the synergy is very, very good. I think as many Bestials as you can play is very good in this deck.
And have you ever considered pairing the Malice deck with any other engines, like Fiendsmith?
I've tried the Fiendsmith version in the past, for sure. At the time, I didn't like it as much because it added a few undesirables to draw, such as Lurry, the Fiendsmith trap card. Engraver and Tract are good to draw, of course, but just having those, and then at the time, Dotscaper was still in the deck, so you just kind of had a lot of cards you didn't really want to draw together.
So it sounds like you've gravitated much more towards the kind of leaner version, just the Bestials and the Malice cards.
Yeah, for now, yeah. This is the preferred version for me.
So do you want to show us now what you can do with a couple of the Malice cards?
Yep, so we'll show the standard one-card combo of Dormouse without Dotscaper in your deck, so of course it's a lot weaker than combos that do involve Dotscaper. And this is also a safer line into Nibiru. One Dormouse can still end on an incredible board if you just completely ignore Nibiru, the Primal Being, but this deck, if you ignore it, you will just pass on nothing. So you want to respect Nibiru as much as you can. So with just one Dormouse, you would normal summon it and use the effect. You get to banish the White Rabbit from deck and use its effect, paying 300 to summon it. And then on summon, you use White Rabbit and you can set the GWC from deck. So this is another new adaptation to a lot of the combos. Normally you would set a different Malice trap first, but these new ones are playing a lot safer to the ground, going for White Binder early and having the GWC set up as early as possible just to hedge your bets against Dib, make sure you don't get blown out. And then you link summon these two. For quite a useful piece of extra deck utility in this deck is the Haggard Lizard Eyes, because it can just banish one from graveyard for cost to change the attack value of something on the field, and then this, of course, can trigger and summon itself back, because this one hasn't used its banish effect yet, which just lets you ladder up into a link 3. And that, in this case, will be Whitebinder. And then we can use Whitebinder's effect to set a Malice trap. Now we can get the other Malice trap, TB11, which we can use the turn it's set by banishing the Whitebinder to summon out the Chessy Cat. And then we can use the Whitebinder's banish effect to pay 900 and summon it and draw 1 card. Don't want to draw that one. And then on summon the Whitebinder, we can use this effect. We could have done it the first time, or we can do it now, just to banish Malice cards from the graveyard. This is something that you want to do. You want to have at least 1 or 2 banished Malice cards, so that later on, if you do get access to Malice Heart's Cryptor, it's live and has the effect to banish activatable, because you need to shuffle back a banished card to do so. So on Whitebinder here, we could just banish these from the graveyard, or at least just the trap card.
So you've already used both of these now, so you can't banish them again for effects.
Yeah, so we could banish them, but then, of course, you couldn't summon them back afterwards. And then from here, link off the Whitebinder and the Chessy Cat. We go into Splash Mage. You Splash Mage, target the Chessy Cat. Link these off for Red Ransom. Red Ransom on summon searches for the Malice field spell. We would activate the field spell, banish Chessy Cat. You can banish the one in graveyard if you like, or you can get the other one out your deck just for a bit of deck thinning. Pay 300, summon itself. If you had any spare Malice cards, you could banish it here to draw 2, but the combos would change quite a lot regardless of if you did. And then we'll just link these 2 off for a Firewall Dragon. And that's the end board from just 1 Dormouse. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but the amount of follow-up you get, plus you have, excuse me, sorry. You have like 4 non-engine in hand. You've drawn a card off the Whitebinder as well. So you have 5 cards in hand, and most of them, this deck plays like 24 non-engine. So there's a lot of backup you'll have from this. So the interrupts you have from this is during your opponent's turn, GWC can summon the Whitebinder. Whitebinder on summon can banish the Red Ransom and White Rabbit, or even just the Red Ransom if you really need to hit 2 cards at your opponent's graveyard, but generally you only need to hit 1. But if you need to hit 2, you can hit 2 of your opponent's cards. You just need to banish 1 from your graveyard.
So the Whitebinder, when it's special summon, it can banish from either player's graveyard, right? So that can be quite handy.
Target up to 3 from either graveyard and banish them. So yep, in this situation, we'll just say we banish both of these. We can trigger both their effects. So this pays 900 to summon itself, and this pays 300 to summon itself. And then on summon, we'll trigger Red Ransom and we'll trigger White Rabbit. So Red Ransom on summon can search as a field spell again for next turn, and the White Rabbit can set a trap card, Malice trap card from our deck. We get the MTP07. And then during our opponent's turn, of course, we can still use the MTP07 by banishing a Malice for cost. And then this searches for a Malice, so we get to search follow-up. And then it will also banish a card on the field because you control a Malice Link monster. On resolution, we can pay 900 to summon it back and draw another card. And then, of course, we still have our Firewall bounce because this is co-linked with the Whitebinder, so we can target a card in the field and bounce it as well. So from 1 card combo, it is like a bounce and a banish, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's not a lot compared to what Malice can do if you really want to go in and play the Dotscaper, if you want to like just make a hard focused combo deck. But from what's seeing success nowadays, it's playing it a bit closer to the ground, more non-engine, smaller combos. And it's seeming to work out really well for people like Jeff Jones, who just made top 4 at the last YCS.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's something players like to experiment with. I guess some people like to do big combos, some people like to do small combos, which is kind of what the Fiendsmith deck is based around. So I guess you're kind of taking a leaf out of their book.
Yeah.
So you've said this is quite kind of conservative into Nibiru. Are there any... So if, imagine I'm your opponent. What should I be looking out for? How can I interrupt you if I'm playing against Malice?
Generally, effect negation is on the weaker side against Malice, simply because the deck tends to play a lot of Bestials. So, for example, with the Dormouse there, if I only have Dormouse, of course, if you hit me with effect negation on the summon, sorry. It will end the turn, but then if I have any Bestial monster in my hand, I can make a link 1, banish it for the Bestial, summon it back, and I still have full combo. So, effect negation is a bit hit or miss against the deck, But in general, it's still good just to hit the Dormouse and just kind of hope. Or if you have more extenders, it's still a good hit on the Dormouse. Nibiru, if possible, there are some lines you want to try and Nibiru them before they make a Malice Link monster, because it leaves them a lot less wide open to extenders. So if, for example, if they manage to make a Link monster, even if they haven't used the effect yet to set a trap and you Nibiru them, they have a lot of better extenders. They have the field spell, which can banish this from the graveyard, which can summon itself, and then they can use it to set the trap. They have all the bestial monsters they can banish it, summon it, and they can still extend really well after that. So the best times for Nibiru are when before they've access to Link monster, which often isn't possible with the way how the deck plays. Outside of White Rabbit is one of the weaker starters in the deck because it tends to summon 5 times before you Link summon into a Malice Link monster in most lines. So this combo tends to be weaker into Nibiru. Other hand traps, Dominus Impulse is a really good hand trap against this deck, generally seen in the mirror match, because it's really good against hitting the GWC trap card. Because if you stop them from reborning the White Binder, they don't get access to a lot of their interruptions. And as well as obviously you can Dominus Impulse to negate the banish effects to summon themselves and lock them out of the name for the whole turn, which can be really powerful.
In terms of side decking, what kind of cards do you like to bring in against Malice?
Of course, there's the standard one that everyone knows about is Artifact Lancia. It's very powerful, this format. It's in almost everyone's side deck. It's very powerful against Malice. If they're not playing a secondary engine, which beats Lancia, it can basically end their turn, which is another reason why Malice has tended to shift to a more non-engine deck recently. If you're not playing a secondary engine like Fiendsmith or, to an extent, Kashtira's, you will just lose to Lancia if you don't draw enough non-engine to survive a turn. So the Bestial decks that are going about right now with the Malice cards, they don't plan to play through Lancia unless they draw a crossout designator or something like that. They tend to just like try and play, if you get Lancia, survive with non-engine and then push on the crackback.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess one approach to playing through Lancia is to have a secondary engine, which can work, like Fiendsmith, or on the other hand, you just have your own interruptions and then see if you can then follow up on the turn after.
Yeah, that is what tends to be the more popular way right now. The Fiendsmith version saw some success at Orlando, but the Bestial version, where you just try to stop your opponent from playing after they Lancia you and play again next turn, seems to be the way to go right now.
And how do you think it fares against some of the other more powerful decks like Ryziel, Fiendsmith, Mitsurugi?
Against Ryziel, it can. I think going first, even going first and going second, Ryziel, Fiendsmith in general, I'd say it has a good matchup because the Bestial cards are very powerful against that deck. They're extenders for you, but then they can also completely cut off your opponent from the Fiendsmith engine, which is a lot of that deck's grind game. Mm-hmm. So if you manage to pair Bestials with like Nibiru to maybe, so you can Bestial maybe their Fiendsmith engine, then you have Nibiru to stop their Ryziel engine, or Bestials with Metaltronus, which is a very popular card right now, to help you out the Detonator. Or then even the Bestial cards can help you out the Detonator themselves with such as Druid Swarm. Druid Swarm is very powerful against Detonator, can help you just send it off to the graveyard. But in general, if you don't see an out to the Detonator is a very powerful card against the Malice strategy. Especially since 3 of their starters and extenders are the field spell, which is particularly weak to Detonator, of course, because they can just chain pop it in response and it won't resolve. But outside that, I do think the matchup is quite good outside of Artifact Lancia. Artifact Lancia can obviously tip the scales quite a lot in that matchup.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much. That was a very in-depth discussion of the decks. I hope everybody watching at home has learned a lot. And I wish you all the success in the event this weekend.
Thank you very much.
So everybody at home, I hope you enjoyed this combo tutorial on Malice with Jordan Gallagher, and keep watching the live stream for more fantastic content.